When I microwave a burger, I take the patty off and I microwave the patty.
What do you do with the bun?
I don't want my bun warm.
You eat a cold bun on a hot burger?
Yeah. Well, not a cold bun. I'd let it, like, chill out a little bit. Get a little warm.
I let it warm out a little bit.
Are you starting or am I?
Oh my god, no, I'll start. Sorry, hold on.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Sitting on the Floor. My name is Kira.
My name's Bella.
And this is the show where we talk about everything and nothing and everything and nothing also while sitting on the floor.
You got
So,
yeah.
Today we are going to be another unsolved mystery podcast. Today we have mentioned this case multiple times on the podcast. This case has invaded our brains for the past long time.
I think I found out about this case like 10 years ago, maybe.
It's probably longer for me.
Yeah.
But I studied this case like to the fucking bone, bitch, because I was like baffled at what was happening.
Yeah.
So this is the case of JonBenét Ramsey. A lot of you probably know about her. A lot of you might not. It is actually surprising to me how many people do not know about JonBenét Ramsey because it is such a big thing.
I feel like it's definitely like a core memory, like learning about this case for me, and I'll bring it up to people and they don't know who she is.
Yeah, I'm like, JonBenét Ramsey. They're like, who? What? And they think it's a boy. Whenever I put it, because of the John. Yeah. But I'm pretty sure John came from her dad.
I think it did, yeah.
But yeah, so let's get right into this case.
The story of JonBenét Ramsey is the story of a 6-year-old beauty queen who was reported missing on the morning of December 26, 1996, so a day after Christmas, after her mother found a ransom note in their home at 749 15th Street in Boulder, Colorado. The ransom note was very long, very hefty, and it was very confusing to a lot of individuals because they would misspell common words. Mm-hmm. However, they would also provide words that were not common at all and spell them correctly.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
So when the note was found, it was about like 5 a.m. when Patsy got up in the morning to make some coffee. So the night prior, they had went on a trip or over to somebody's house. They went somewhere, and the last time that JonBenét was seen alive was she fell asleep in the car, and Patsy had brought her up to go to bed. And then she got up and found this note on the bottom of the staircase. It is important to note that it's a very big house. The house is like 4 stories. Yeah. It's like 4 stories. So Patsy's bedroom was on the very top bedroom. Mm-hmm. So that's important to note as well.
Which, can I just say real quick, like, do we know what story the kids were sleeping on? Because I feel like as an adult, if you're living in a house that big, I would want to live on the same floor as my children.
Yeah, I think they were on the 3rd floor.
Really?
I didn't write that down because I didn't think it would be important, but I remember I think that they were on the 3rd floor. Okay.
So the first important thing to note from the ransom note is stating that you will withdraw $118,000 from your account. $100,000 will be in $100 bills, and the remaining $18,000 will be in $20 bills. So note that amount. Keep that amount in your mind. If that amount doesn't even raise a bell to you, I don't see how. Like $118,000 is a very specific amount.
Oddly specific.
It's very oddly specific. I wonder why that is. It's kind of crazy.
It is, isn't it? That's kind of weird, isn't it?
I mean, in this ransom note, they were very the way that it was stated was very calm almost, but then they would say things that were extremely violent. Like, let me see. Any deviation of my instructions will result in the immediate execution of your daughter. You will be denied her remains for proper burial. Let's see. Okay.
In the note, it was also said that so they had JonBenét, and it says, we might call you early to arrange an earlier delivery of the money and hence an earlier pickup of your daughter. So they stated that they had JonBenét.
Yes, they did. I mean, they said that I advise you not to, or speaking to anybody about your situation, such as police, FBI, etc., will result in your daughter being beheaded. If we catch you talking to a stray dog, she dies. If you alert bank authorities, she dies. If the money is in any way marked or tampered with, she dies. Scanning for electronic devices, making sure that they're not contacting anybody, that they're not involving anybody outside of the family. Otherwise.
And it also states that it's a group of individuals, so it wasn't just one person.
Yeah.
And then it also is signed SBTC, which was never, I don't think that was ever figured out what that was.
No, the to this day, we don't know what those initials stand for. Funny thing about the amount that they had asked for, the $118,000, is I know you put in here that it's very similar. I found out
it was exact.
It's exact, yeah. So the exact amount that they asked for in the note of this ransom letter, $118,000, is the exact amount of what John Ramsey got for his Christmas bonus that year.
So, literally like a month prior.
Yeah, so that is very peculiar. Whoever wrote the note, obviously, and in the note they do state that they don't like John. So there is a chance that they know of John, but the fact that they know specifically the amount that he got is very...
It was speculated that it was some people that he was having like business problems with, which makes sense as to why they would know the exact amount that he would get.
The note was also written in the house.
In Patsy's office.
Yep, and her stationery and everything like that. There was also... evidence of practice notes that were thrown away as well.
It was used from one of her notebooks in her office, and also a pen from her office as well.
Which is, again, very strange. That means that whoever did it came into their house and wrote the letter, risking being caught after abducting, kidnapping JonBenét. Or, I mean, hell, they could have done it before, but regardless, they're spending more time in that house than they need to.
Yeah.
And
it's a big house, and it's really scary to think about, because since it's such a big house, like, somebody could be creeping in there for God knows how long without them knowing.
I mean, like, there are stories of apartments, like the size of my apartment is not that big, and there are stories of people in apartments my size that, like, creep around in fucking, like, air ducts and stuff like that.
Squatters are real.
Squatters are very real.
It's very scary.
Yeah, so, like, owning a 4-story house, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit in a different part, but owning a 4-story house, there's no way to fully tell that it's completely empty.
Yeah, especially because they lived in a well enough like area to where they felt safe keeping their windows and doors unlocked.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a bit... I wouldn't... Like, I'm always double checking, triple checking that my doors and my windows are locked and stuff. Okay, so after the note was found, the parents immediately called the cops, disregarding the whole fact of what was written in the note that was like, oh, if you call the cops, your daughter's dead. Disregarded that completely, and they called the cops immediately. They thought that she was kidnapped, and they called the authorities. When the investigators arrived, this part pisses me off. I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because this shit is so fucking annoying.
It is.
They did not properly check and secure the crime scene. And after they had called the police, they had called multiple family members and friends. I don't know the amount of people. It had to be like 10 to 15 people that they had called over. So people were coming in, like, without the police checking the whole house.
Yeah.
Like, people were just coming in, and I'm pretty sure that actually the police were like, oh, guys, go look and see if you see anything strange.
They did, yeah. The police encouraged, and that's actually how later on you find out what happened to JonBenét. But the police were encouraging people to search the house.
Yeah, just bystanders, like friends and family.
That's not their job. That is your job. Your job is to look for evidence to do all of this stuff. And I mean,
they messed this case up like beyond repair.
Yeah.
Like, even if they were, like, the evidence that was found doesn't mean anything now.
Yeah. Because
anything could have happened. Anything could have been tampered with by these people that were in the house. Okay, so as the people were searching the house, the dad, his name is John, and one of his friends decided to start from the basement. So they go down to the basement and they find JonBenét, who is dead in the basement from an apparent strangulation. There was a tourniquet around her neck. I don't know if you know what a tourniquet is, but it's like if you cut your leg off, or if your leg gets injured, you have to wrap like a rope around it, get something that you can hold onto and twist it to tighten it to stop the blood flow to the leg.
Yeah, for instance, if you've ever seen like a movie where they're like in the wild or like in war or something like that, and like say somebody gets shot or something and somebody takes off a belt, like, and then they squeeze it down like that. It's the same effect. It's not exactly the same because it's not like an actual tourniquet, but that's the point.
There was a tourniquet around her neck. I think it was a rope, right? So there was a rope, and then there was a part of a paintbrush from Patsy's hobby kit that was used to tighten. So when her father found her deceased, it was said by somebody at the scene that when her father and the friend went down to the basement, that John reacted to seeing her dead body before the lights even turned on in the basement. which is weird to me. That is a bit weird because basements are dark as fuck.
Yeah, I don't, especially being like, I don't remember what time exactly the everything was going on, but especially a 4-story house, I don't foresee him being able to see anything in the fucking basement without the lights on.
Yeah, so that part is kind of crazy to me, a bit suspicious, if you ask me, just saying. So this is a statement from him when he found her. He said, "I knew instantly what I found. I found my daughter. She was lying on a white blanket. The blanket was wrapped around her. Her hands were tied above her head. She had tape over her mouth. I immediately knelt down over her, felt her cheek, took the tape off immediately off of her mouth. I tried to untie the cord that was around her arms, and I couldn't get the knot untied." Here's my thing with this. If I was in this situation, and I wasn't, so I can't state exactly what I would do, but, however, that is completely tampering with any kind of evidence you have of finding out who did this to your daughter.
Yeah.
Like, even just, like, going to... I wouldn't even go to look. Yeah. Honestly.
I think and again, like you said, like, I can't foresee how I would react in a situation like that. But I can't imagine that I think I would, number one, be traumatized because that's my daughter. And I would want to comfort her in a sense. I mean, but knowing what I know about stuff like that, I wouldn't touch her because the best chance you have at getting justice and getting any DNA off of her is to not touch her. Yeah. Like, you don't have gloves on. You don't, like, there's a reason why they leave those things to investigators. And I mean, like, touching the tape, touching her, like, going to untie the knot around her hands. Like, how is any DNA on there not going to be confused for your own DNA? Yeah. That's the thing with that. But no, I agree with you 100%. I don't think I would jump in and do anything regarding that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just it's common sense. Like, yeah, it's a crime scene. And, like, I get, like, you think that your daughter is missing, and I get, like, you want to find her ASAP. But tampering with evidence like that could have been, like, the end of the case.
That could have had the DNA, the information that you needed to solve that case and to catch the killer.
And another thing is, like, with him going and touching her and, like, trying to get the stuff off of her, it's also, like, could be a way, if he did end up doing that, to cover up his own fingerprints, because then his fingerprints would be on this stuff that he had taken off. Yeah. So that's another thing to think about.
Something to keep in mind, for sure.
Yeah. So the same day, December 26th, because this happened Christmas night when they got home. So December 26th at 10:45 p.m., her body was removed from the house. She was buried on December 31st, 1996, next to her half-sister. A day later, on January 1st, 1997, the Ramsey parents made their first official public statement, pleading on CNN for individuals to help them find their daughter's murderer.
When you return to Boulder, you will sit down with the Boulder police?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We want them to know everything possible.
Everything.
That can help them.
Whatever they want, whatever anyone wants, we will cooperate.
Something to note is it was snowing heavily. So one thing that they couldn't collect from the crime scene, at least from the outside, was footsteps, because especially in Colorado, they're known for their heavy ass snow. Yeah. So I mean, and that's also another thing is, I don't know how late it was snowing in that night, but however early or late it was, like, it was enough to where the snow covered whatever footprints, if there was footprints, or if it was from an outside individual.
Yeah, that's another thing that really, like, tingled my brain. Yeah. Because even if, like, no matter how hard it was snowing, I feel like there would still be indents, because when there's snow, like, when you step on snow, it takes a while for your footprints to go away.
It does. And also there's usually, like, I don't think anybody's shoe is going to be fucking spotless. Like, I think there should at least be, like, some dirt or something. I mean, I know when you're walking in snow for, like, 20 or 30 feet, like, the dirt's obviously not going to keep, like, going down into the snow. Yeah. But the fact that there isn't any tracks at all, not from the curb to the window.
A little bit suspicious.
A little bit weird. And the window was broken.
Yeah, the window, there was some open windows as well. I think there was, like, 2 open windows, and then one of them was broken. Mm-hmm. And there wasn't any footprints outside, but there was footprints on the inside.
Yeah, there were two
sets of footprints on the inside that were unidentified.
So that is what happened day of. So the night of Christmas, they come home. JonBenét gets put to bed. They wake up December 26th to a ransom note. And then a couple hours later, they find JonBenét dead in the basement. So that is what happened on the 26th of December. And then getting into the investigation, it really started on March 13th. So 3 months after the case is when the investigation really, truly started.
I do want to state that the parents were like not really doing interviews that whole time, which I kind of understand because I wouldn't want to be like totally in the spotlight, but they were denying a lot of interviews and like public speaking. Like they did not want to. I
don't think I would want to be interviewed heavily, but I would want to put a statement out there to get people to look into the case.
Yeah.
Because there's the reason why the investigation didn't start until March 13th is because they didn't have a lot to go off of. Mm-hmm. There wasn't anything. And so I would feel like, okay, well, if I put a statement out, like hopefully that'll get some attention. Somebody will be out looking for whoever this murderer is. So it is kind of strange that there wasn't really anything aside from what they said on January 1st. And that's just pleading for help. I would want to keep, not necessarily do it abundantly, but do at least a couple between January and March.
Yeah, January, that's a big ass window.
That's 3 months of just not saying anything. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. So starting off the investigation, 3 months into 1997, on March 13th, Lou Smith joined the investigation and revealed that the crime scene supported the suspicion of an intruder. So they do think that somebody had broken into the house. And this was due to markings on a suitcase in the wall resembling footprints underneath the broken window. So there was the broken window and there was a suitcase and it looked like somebody had climbed down. But also that goes to support where were the footprints.
Yeah.
Because you could argue like, oh, maybe the window got broken and they never fixed it, or maybe this or that. But like there were footprints on the wall underneath the broken window. So there is a decent amount of evidence to suggest, or at least imply, that somebody was climbing up and down that wall. Mm-hmm. It's a matter of who, what, when, where, whatever. There were foam packing materials and leaves that may have been tracked in through the broken window. And then there was also a baseball bat with fibers on it that was matching the carpet in the basement near where JonBenét was found. And then there was also DNA under JonBenét's nails indicating that her attacker was a male. And there were marks on JonBenét's face indicating that she had been hit with a stun gun. Now, whether or not that was a stun gun, whatever it was, is to be determined. More on that in a little bit. Mm-hmm. But the investigators had assumed that it was a stun gun. So a little over a month later, on April 18th of 1997, investigators announced that Patsy and John were their main suspects. However, the parents persisted in their innocence. Again, I would argue that if you were doing interviews and like looking for your child's murderer and bringing attention to the case, I would say that, I don't say that would clear your name entirely, but I do think that would hold up much better than you being completely silent and then they're like, oh, you know, you're the...
If you do, like, look at the interviews that they did do, like, the little interviews that they did do, they seem completely, like, calm.
They do.
And, like, they could be on, like, some, like, calming medication, like anxiety medication or whatever. Yeah. However, you would literally have to put me behind bars. Like, if my child went missing and died in my house, you would have to sedate me, like, completely. You would have to put me into a coma because I would be going crazy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I can't foresee anybody being that calm.
Yeah.
Or like at least crying, something. I don't think any type of anxiety medications, calming medications, anything, I don't think it can suppress an emotion quite like that.
Yeah. It's like actually crazy.
But let me assure you that I did not kill JonBenét. I did not have anything to do with it. I love that child.
The way that Patsy is just like, please find my daughter. Tell me who killed my daughter. I have a reward. Let me know who did it. Like, girl, I would be screaming at the fucking camera. Yeah. I would be barking.
Especially after months of not saying anything. Yeah. Like, there should be emotion. No, like, I don't understand how you've gone months without saying anything. 4 months. And you're just looking at the camera and you're like, please find my daughter.
Right.
Where's the energy? Mm-hmm. Like,
and don't even get me started on John, because that motherfucker did not say a single fucking, I don't want to
divorce.
Immediate, actually.
Jesus. But yeah. A little less than 3 months later, on July 14th of 1997, the autopsy report stated that JonBenét had a fractured skull, bruises, and abrasions on her legs, shoulders, and feet, and she was possibly sexually assaulted before she was strangled. There was May DNA found in her underwear. She was also found with a synthetic cord wrapped around her neck and her right wrist. She also had pineapple in her stomach. That was what was in
her tummy, undigested.
Yeah.
That's important later.
It is important later. So a little over a year later, so a year has passed since they've released those details of the autopsy report, conducting a handwriting analysis on the Ramsey parents. Here's my thing. I feel like I could change my handwriting.
Yeah.
Do they conduct it on handwriting that's already found from you? And if so, I change my
think,
handwriting often.
Exactly. I think they take like stuff that you've written prior and then do that with that. I don't think that they have you write on the spot.
Yeah, but even then I feel like I don't write the same all the time.
Yeah.
One of the things that I change often, I change my A's because I can never decide if I want to do like
I do the same thing.
Or it's like little things like that, or like when I write a 0, like I can never decide if I want to do a slash through it, or if I just want to do like an O.
I steal people's handwriting. Like if I see somebody doing something that I like, I'll steal it.
I know. I'm like, damn, that's cute as fuck.
Yeah. Give me that little E.
She's cute. Like for the longest time, I would write my E's like that little like squiggle where it's like that. And then I just got tired of it, so I just went back to normal.
I stole my mom's F's. Like, you know how you're supposed to write an F like that?
Mm-hmm.
She did it the other way, so she would go like that, like a 7, and then put a slash through it. So I started doing that with my capitals.
Cute.
Right?
I love that. Yeah, like I don't understand how that works. I never write the same way either.
Yeah.
Like every day I feel like I write differently.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
But for the handwriting, it was stated that John like passed it. So it wasn't like his handwriting, but Patsy's was like
inconclusive.
Inconclusive.
And then a couple months later, on October 13th of 1999, the DA officially announced that the grand jury completed their work and ruled that there was not sufficient evidence enough to warrant the filing of charges. So the case was officially
closed.
It was a cold case. They decided they were no longer going to investigate it.
Mm-hmm. People do still try to. I think one guy came out of retirement so that he could study the case.
Good.
But people are still like coming up with stuff, and there's still stuff. There's like something like at least every year where people are like new DNA found or something like that. Like, oh, something new in the case. I don't think it ever is actually anything new.
Yeah, but I don't think it's ever too late to try to solve a cold case. I really appreciate the people who are going out and like coming out of retirement or like building their careers based off of this. I really value that because I wouldn't, as a parent, I would not want somebody to stop investigating the murder of my child.
Yeah.
Like that's not...
It's really heartbreaking, actually.
Yeah, it truly is. And that's another reason why it's like, I don't understand why Patsy and John were not more adamant on getting the word out for JonBenét. Why do we care more than they care? That's what I want to know. But after the case was closed, it was concluded that the DNA from the crime scene that was on JonBenét's underwear that they found that indicated that she may have been sexually assaulted actually could have come from the manufacturer and was ruled irrelevant in the case.
Yeah.
The way that they did that was they tested it against an unopened pair of underwear. They submitted that into court, and there was DNA found on the unopened pack of underwear.
Which is kind of crazy to me.
Yeah.
Because somebody who like, if this like same situation happened, there could be somebody's DNA that is in the system that did work at that factory, and they would be looped into this whole thing.
Yeah.
And they would have nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
So that's actually really crazy to me.
I also wonder how there isn't a lot of cases like that. Actually, I haven't heard of any other case where that's happened.
Yeah.
Which, I'm not going to suggest that that's false because, they opened and unopened. And, it was a lawyer who did it and everything. So it's like, I'm not going to suggest that it was false or tampered with. But the fact that that's not more common in cases is kind of crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like, you're finding DNA on so many things. And the fact that this is the only case that has come out where it's from the manufacturer is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I just think that that's kind of mind-blowing. I never thought of that.
Mm-hmm. So, one of the first suspects that we're going to talk about his name is Bill McReynolds. He had been to the house recently before her death. I think it was like 2 days prior. He would dress up as Santa for Christmas and go visit people. He stated that he felt close to JonBenét, and a reason for that is because she was the only kid to get him a gift as Santa. And I think he was having like a surgery or something, and she gave it to him, and it was a vial of glitter, right? Mm-hmm. And this part, like...
So for the surgery, he took it in as like a good luck type of thing. So that's what that was for the surgery. Mm-hmm. But later, he said
that he wanted his wife to, if he were to die, to mix his ashes with the glitter. No comment.
No comments. Fucking weird. Creepy as fuck. I have plenty of comments.
Go ahead. I have absolutely nothing to that. Like, it's the most fucking disgusting thing I've ever read in my life. Yeah. Like, I can't describe to you the way that I feel about when I was writing that down.
I understand, like, coming from the standpoint of somebody who has acted, I understand when somebody gives you a gift, that does mean a lot to me. That it is very heartwarming. Would I ever want to be buried with that gift? Have it mixed with my ashes?
Right.
Carry it around with me like a good luck charm? Say that I feel close to the individual who gave it to me? No.
Unless it's my, like, child?
Yeah.
No way. No way. His wife also wrote a play about a child being essayed and being killed in a basement, which... What the fuck?
There's an uncanny resemblance to a certain case.
Just a bit. Just a little bit. Yeah. That's a bit concerning. And I don't know why people... Like, that was only mentioned in one piece of information that I was going through. Like, I watched multiple videos, and that was only mentioned in one video.
Yeah.
Why aren't people talking about that more? Because that's... Like, I'm not... That's a big thing. Like, it was uncanny the way that those two situations are matching up. So that's weird. He was let go because there wasn't enough evidence against him.
I'm not going to sit here and say that this guy killed JonBenét. I don't think he did. But I do think the amount of resemblances and the stuff that leads up to it is highly suspicious.
Oh, yeah.
And I do think the things that he said were off-putting and creepy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just creepy by itself, the fact that he is like, he says that he felt really close to this 6-year-old girl.
Yeah.
That gave him a present. Like, I don't care how long you've known her. I don't care if you've known her for your whole life. Like, you are not related to this little girl. And wanting to mix your ashes with a present, or even being buried with something that she gave you, keeping something on you that she gave you, is a bit weird.
Yeah, just a bit. Just a fucking bit. So the next suspect that we have is Gary Olivia. He was a somewhat close neighbor
I think it's Oliva. Oliva.
Oliva?
I think I wrote it down wrong. I'm pretty sure it's Oliva.
Oliva?
I think. I don't know. It doesn't fucking matter. Fuck this dude.
It doesn't matter. This guy was a somewhat close neighbor to the Ramseys. He was arrested prior for child...
You know what.
And drug charges. He carried a picture of JonBenét in his book bag, and he stated that it was to create a shrine for her. He supposedly called a friend a day after the murder and said that he hurt a little girl in Boulder, Colorado. He then also attempted to strangle his own mother the same way that JonBenét was strangled, and he was let go due to not being a match to the DNA found on JonBenét.
He did try to kill his mother prior to JonBenét's murder.
Yeah. The phone call that was recorded, or I don't want to say recorded, but it was stated to have said, I heard a little girl, I heard a little girl. So the only reason being that he was let go, not being a match to the DNA.
It was found out like way later though that the DNA wasn't usable.
Yeah.
So at the time, it kind of makes sense. But also, he had a picture of her from he ripped out a picture from a magazine and had it in his book bag. Made a shrine of her.
He said that he felt very connected to the case. I saw that as well. Mm-hmm. He felt very empathetic towards it and everything. And he felt close to her. The amount of people that felt close to this little girl is extremely...
You can never be too careful as a parent, I just want to say. Having so many people around your daughter,
especially in the pageant scene.
In the pageant scene, because there's people out there, bro. You never fucking know with people. And just to have her so surrounded by so many people, there should not be this many fucking people that are on this fucking list.
Yeah.
There should not be 1, 2, 3, 4
grown men
that are saying that they felt close enough to your daughter to be involved in this.
No.
At all. There is no fucking excuse. So even whoever is guilty and who is not guilty, Patsy and John will always be guilty to me. I'm just going to say that right now, because there's no fucking reason that so many people should be able to feel that close to your fucking daughter.
I do think that you have an extreme responsibility to make sure that what is happening is safe.
Yep.
It is censored, and that your daughter isn't being put anywhere where it's not appropriate.
Yeah.
I beg you to heed caution.
The next one, his name is Michael Helgoff. He was an electrician that worked somewhat near the family in Boulder. He had a property dispute with John, and his boot prints were found around the area, around the house somewhere, and they were very similar to the ones that were at the crime scene. So when this guy figured out that, because it was released that there was a new suspect in the case, I don't know when, I don't know how far into the case this was, but when he found out that he was a suspect, he offed himself. 2 days after it was announced that there was a new suspect in the case, and his DNA sample was inconclusive. And it was thought that he wanted revenge for the property dispute against John. So he wanted to take what was most precious to him. So that's Michael. That's all we've got on him. There wasn't much since he passed away.
Was it the boot prints that made him a suspect?
I think it was.
Okay.
And the property dispute thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, there doesn't seem like very much to really go off of, aside from
I don't remember exactly where they were found. I know that they were found near the residence.
Yeah.
But
also, if he worked near the property, there's nothing to say that those boot prints weren't from a previous or a different scenario entirely. Yeah. The next individual, John Markar. I have a lot to say about this man. He also went down for child, you know what? He was a teacher.
Terrifying. That is the most terrifying thing I've ever read in my life. A teacher.
A teacher going down for
teacher.
That is absolutely fucking vile. That is foul. It is disgusting. It is loathsome. It is... I don't have enough words to describe how absolutely horrifying that is. There was a journalist who was studying the JonBenét Ramsey case, and he had suspected John Markar. And he decided to email with him for 4 years.
4 fucking years.
4 years. This man was diving deep into his psyche, back and forth. So 10 years after the murder, he confessed that he was in love with JonBenét and said that he had hit her with a flashlight. The reason why he was let go was that his DNA did not match. And then also, it was found later that he wasn't even in Colorado at the time of her murder.
They have pictures of him in Georgia or something.
Yeah.
Somewhere completely different.
So one thing I do have to say about this, we did talk about this in the Jack the Ripper and Zodiac case for people who falsely confess to murders. should you be arrested for that murder? No. But should you be in fucking jail?
Yeah.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
For impersonating a fucking killer? Not even just a fucking killer. Like, especially this fucking case. Like, it's fucking insane.
No, absolutely no. If you don't deserve to get the gratification, the fucking whatever sexual satisfaction you get from wanting to confess to a murder that you didn't commit, the attention, the fame, whatever it is, you don't deserve that. What you do deserve is to be behind bars and be miserable, because you're not only taking the attention off of somebody who did do it, but you're getting attention for yourself.
Yeah.
You are tainting it more than it already is. And that's selfish, and it's disgusting, and it's foul. Fuck you, John Mark Carr. Fuck you. Like, you genuinely disgust me. Real. Beyond belief.
Everybody on this list fucking disgusts me.
Everybody
but that
does.
Dude, like, please.
Fucking foul. The only thing that is worse than falsely confessing to a murder is doing the murder and committing it.
Yeah.
But that is just, I don't have enough words to describe how irrational, not irrationally, but how fucking angry that makes me.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know. Fuck you.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
All right. Moving on to the parents. So, Patsy and John, after everything had happened, immediately after JonBenét's death, they lawyered the fuck up. You can see in the interviews that they do not seem as distraught as parents should be. After they had just seen their child dead, literally dead body. Are you kidding me?
And this was like immediately after. This wasn't like a few months. No, I mean, like, it was.
No, they fucking saw that shit literally probably like the day or two after they fucking lawyered up.
Yeah.
Like, there are rumors that they didn't want to be investigated, which is probably why they didn't do any interviews or anything like that. And then when they asked John, when the police asked John to take a lie detector test, he was like, what's the word? What did I put? Offended. He was offended that they asked him to take a lie detector test, which I kind of understand, because in his defense, like, if I were to take a lie detector test, I'm scared already.
Yeah.
So if that thing, like, asked me how old I was, and I'm like, I'm 22, and it came up and it spiked and told me that I was lying when I'm not, like, it's just like, I don't think that they can use it against you. Like,
a lie detector test?
Yeah. I don't think, because it's not accurate all the time.
It's not always accurate, but they, at least, okay, so nowadays they are a lot more accurate, like freakishly accurate. But especially back in, 1996?
Yeah.
I don't think they were as accurate. I don't think that they...
Like, I feel as if I would already be nervous trying to do it, so I feel like something probably might have spiked that was wrong. But even then, I would still want to do anything in my power to get my daughter's, like...
Yeah.
Not victory, what is the word?
Justice.
To get my daughter justice, I would literally do anything. So I would take the test.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying... I did say in his defense, but not in his defense, because I would have fucking done that shit.
Yeah.
I would have immediately said yes. Hook me the fuck up.
Yeah, the way that lie detectors work is they have you, at least from what I have seen, they have you tell an obvious truth and an obvious lie. And that way they can differentiate between your heart rate spiking due to a lie versus anxiety.
Oh,
so,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so like my full name is Isabella, and then I could be like, I am 60 years old. And it's like, obviously you can tell which one is the lie.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, I didn't know they did it like that.
Yeah.
That's actually good. So yeah, I mean, I would still do it.
Yeah.
Like, I would immediately say yes. But he was like offended, which is crazy. A few days after the murder, they wanted to get on a plane and go to Atlanta. A few days after the murder. And they were like, oh, that's just where our family is. That's where our other house is. Like, we just want to go and be... like, not here where the crime scene is. Bitch, I'm staying.
Yeah.
I'm staying until I get justice for my child. You want to leave? Out of the area? Are you fucking kidding me? Go ahead.
No, you're right. Because, like, again, I don't think that there's any way to truly understand what it feels like unless it were to happen. And I hope to fucking God that it never happens to anybody, to either of us, to anybody that we know, to anybody that we don't know. It's not something that I ever want to fucking happen.
Yeah.
So I can't foresee understanding it unless it did.
Yeah.
And I know that grief works in weird ways, but also wanting to go to Georgia when this investigation is still happening, the police could need you for anything.
Yeah.
They could need access to your home. And I mean, yeah, you could give them access while you're not there. But I'd want to be there for anything new in the case.
Updates that could happen, any like suspects they could tell me about, anything, literally anything.
This isn't like a month into the case and they're like, okay, we don't think we have any more leads. This is like
a week after.
Yeah.
Like not long after at all. So that's like crazy to me. Another key points to talk about with the parents is the bonus money, the ransom money. Not a lot of people would know the exact amount that John would be getting for his bonus unless they work very closely with him, unless they are close to him, or unless they are him, or like in the family. And then the paintbrush, the paintbrush that was used for the tourniquet, but also the paper and the pen used for the ransom note. Weird.
It is very suspicious that a lot of the stuff was found inside the home.
Mm-hmm. I also find it very weird that they wrote such a long ransom note.
Yeah,
because they don't know how much time they would have had before somebody could have woken up in the house and found them. They don't know how much time they had by themselves, and they had time to write, what was it, like 3 pages of...
It was 34 lines.
34 fucking lines? Are you, like, serious?
Yeah.
They didn't know how much time they had to do that. There was fucking, what is it called?
Spelling?
Practice notes.
Oh, okay.
There was practice notes found in the trash can in the office.
Like, you had time to write a practice note. You had time to get all of this stuff from inside the house. You had faith that they weren't going to wake up, that they weren't going to come find you.
Like, it's suspicious.
It's very suspicious. And you didn't want to do any interviews. You didn't want to take a lie detector test. You weren't appearing emotional over it.
Yeah.
And you didn't think to check your own house before reporting your daughter missing.
Mm-hmm. And not even only that, calling everybody that you know to come over when it could have been any of those people as well. Like, it could have been any of those people that you called to come to the house that were like, it's just blowing my mind.
Yeah.
Like, completely.
There's a lot of evidence against them. And I think a lot of it would have also, again, the handwriting analysis, a lot of it would have been cleared if there were certain things that they had done to appear more involved in their daughter's case.
Yeah.
That is the thing. They don't appear to be involved, and that is concerning.
Yeah.
So the final suspect is her older brother, Burke. A common snack they would have is pineapple and milk, and it was found in the kitchen at the scene with Burke and Patsy's fingerprints on the bowl and spoon. It is theorized that JonBenét woke up and went downstairs to see Burke eating the pineapple and milk, and then she took some of his pineapple and he got mad and hit her with the flashlight. In the autopsy, there was also 2 small scars on her neck that would match one of his toys, so like a set of train tracks, because he played with trains all the time, that he also could have hit her with. It also could have been a stun gun, but that wouldn't relate to Burke, like we said before. That was what the lead investigator had suspected, was that it was a stun gun. After that incident, it is thought that the parents had to cover up what their child did, what Burke did, and they staged the rest of the abduction, assumed that she was dead, and then in his interview as a child, he acted very concerning.
Yeah. Like he did not give a single crap about what was going on.
He did not. I think at the age of 9, you have enough empathy and everything to understand what's going on, that your younger sister is dead.
Yeah.
And he just, there's not a lot going on to make it look like he really even cares.
Yeah, the interviewer literally asked him, she was like, well, do you know what's going on? And he was like, yeah, I know what happened. My sister's dead, blah, 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 blah.
He stated that he wasn't scared. And like he typically plays his Nintendos, his games, his trains, stuff like that, that he's not afraid of what happened to JonBenét. Mm-hmm. Which also drives me crazy. I think I started feeling fear itself, like at 3 years old.
Earlier, girl.
Like,
I've been scared my whole life.
Yeah. I came out of the womb screaming. But like, I don't know. I don't understand how your little sister was at the time where they had stated that, like, she was not abducted, but your house was broken into and she was murdered.
Yeah.
And you're not scared at all?
No, I'd be so fucking shaking in my boots, girl. Like,
I walked through the living room at the age of like 7 and I saw like 5 seconds of Chucky and I was terrified of him for like 10 years.
Real.
And you're telling me, like, you know that somebody broke into your own home, killed your little sister, and you're just like...
I'd be scared to sleep. I'd be scared to do anything.
Yeah.
Like, especially because they don't know who it was. It could have been anybody.
Yeah.
And they had people over all the fucking time. It could have been anybody.
One thing that was also very suspicious, whether this is suspicious to Patsy, to John, to Burke, whatever, they were caught in a lie that a lot of people don't talk about. But when Patsy and John called the police the morning of December 26th, they had stated that they later stated that Burke was asleep when they called. However, in the background of the phone call, you can hear Burke. Mm-hmm. You can hear him up and talking and moving. And I just think that that's really weird because why would you lie about that?
Yeah, that's not something that's, like, good to lie about at all.
So it is just very concerning. And it does have a lot of people theorizing that Burke got angry because he also was known to be an angry child.
Yeah.
So people...
Very aggressive.
Yeah, people theorize that he got angry and he hit her and she wasn't necessarily dead right away, but enough to where they were scared and they finished the job.
Yeah.
And that's really heartbreaking if that's the truth.
Mm-hmm. So just to sum up some of the story, the Ramseys would often have a lot of people over. They would give tours of their house to friends and family. And they came from a good background, a nice neighborhood. So it's possible that somebody that they knew was scouting out the house like prior to the murder. And if the parents were on the 4th floor when this was happening, they couldn't have heard somebody on the 1st floor or on any other floor, actually, because it's a big ass house. Like, that's a big I would never live in a house that big ever in my life. I could not imagine 4 fucking floors of anything. But yeah, like I said earlier, like, somebody could have been like snooping around that house and they would never know. They would never hear. Yeah. Like, there could have been a squatter in their fucking basement or in the attic or something. The neighbors had said that they had heard a scream on Christmas night. Was it Christmas night? Mm-hmm. I think it was Christmas night. They said that they heard a little girl screaming. Like the wife had woken up her husband so that they could listen because the scream freaked her out so much.
So later after that, investigators conducted a test where they stood on the 4th floor and somebody screamed at the 1st floor.
At the top of their lungs.
Yeah. And they could not hear it from the 4th floor. However, somebody positioned at the neighbor's house could. Mm-hmm. Which, again, I would not want to live in a house that big.
Right.
And I mean, it does go to show that, like, if somebody did break in, say it wasn't Patsy or Burke or John, they had, I feel like they had to have scouted the house. They had to have known how big it was to know what you could and couldn't hear.
They had to know where everything was too, because the office could not have been an easy thing to find. Mm-hmm. Like,
so they knew that they could do all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. They knew that they could write it out. They could do all of, like, that they could hurt her and, like, they wouldn't hear. And it's just it's one of those things that goes both towards an intruder and also family.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make the situation any easier.
Yeah. Another thing to note, with the pineapple on the thing, some people theorize that, like, she had made it herself and that she was taken by the person or whoever while she was eating, and that Burke wasn't even there. But my thing is, at 6 years old, girl, I couldn't even make myself a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Like, how is she sitting there cutting up pineapple and putting milk in it? How is she reaching the bowls in the cabinet? How is she getting spoons out of the drawer at 6 years old? And the fingerprints on the thing, people are like, oh, well, Patsy does the dishes, blah, 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 blah. There could be just from that, but
there's not a single fingerprint of JonBenét.
Exactly.
When she's the one who people are
supposedly
theorizing
made the bowl. Yeah, like, no.
I'm not going to say that she couldn't, because I do think, like, with what she was doing, she was a pageant queen, and she did have, like, a lot more maturity than I think the average 6-year-old. Like, she is more like, I think that comes with being a pageant person.
More like conscious of herself.
Yeah, more conscious and more like what is the word? Like motorized. There we go. Like, so she does have a lot more motor movements than the average 6-year-old. But regardless, like, I don't foresee her.
I don't buy it.
No.
I don't buy it at all.
That's a lot to do at 6 years old.
Yeah.
I could maybe make a bowl of cereal, if that. Even then, I was making a mess with the milk. Like,
still the bowls, though. Like, how did she reach the freaking bowls?
Yeah, it's I don't know. In the previous months, there were multiple break-ins in that neighborhood, like in the area. However, the Ramseys left their doors and their windows unlocked.
That shit pisses me off.
I'm
sorry. Those question marks, because why the fuck? I don't understand how people. I've never like been one to feel very safe anyways, but I don't understand how people feel so safe as to keep their doors and windows unlocked, especially because there have been multiple break-ins in the area. If there are break-ins in my area, I'm double, triple, quadruple locking my doors and windows.
Yeah, it's insane.
So at the scene, there was no blood traces in the house, which could possibly mean that she was probably already close to death when she was struck in the head by whatever she was struck in the head with. Strangulation could have come first, but it's not completely set in stone that that's what happened, especially because was it like the blow to her head? I don't think it broke like skin.
I don't remember seeing anything that it broke skin.
I think it was just a big bonk.
Yeah, like it did fracture her skull.
Yeah, but you can do that without
breaking skin,
getting blood from that. So we're not 100% sure about that. So to go on to talk about what we think happened, who we think it is, you go ahead.
I think majority of America has the same theory as to who did it. I think it was Burke. I do think that it was Burke. I think he got angry, and I think he hit her. But I don't think that he did the killing. I don't think he did it intentionally, and I don't think that he completed it. I think he hit her, and I think that Patsy or John, one of the two, I think that they realized that she was either going to die or that she was close to death, and they didn't want to lose Burke, or they didn't want Burke to get in trouble, and so they strangled her. And then they faked it out. That's what I think happened. I think there was a lot of evidence, and I do implore you, if you're watching this, to do your own research on it, because there is so much evidence that we didn't even...
It just does not add up.
It doesn't add up. We didn't have time to cover every single little detail of this case, because there are so many details. But there is a lot of evidence that suggests that this was done inside the house by somebody who knew the house, by somebody who was... number one, hasty, and it was on their stationery. I don't think they even thought to test a lot of stuff against Burke.
Yeah.
I don't. And
I mean, in that like scenario, you don't want to put it on the kid.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they were just doing their best to try not to accuse the family at all, but I think that they should have been the first ones to be questioned and to be accused. And as much as I want to say, like, I think it was them, like, I don't want to be... Insensitive, because they have been accused of a lot, and they have been let go. Like, it was concluded that it wasn't them. However, we don't know that for sure, and I feel as if, you know, we haven't gotten closure in the amount of years that it's been. And I do also believe that it was probably Burke, and I understand wanting to protect your child. What I don't get is to go to the lengths as far as to kill your other child to protect one. If it was the simple fact that Burke did that, just taking her to the hospital could have fixed everything.
Yeah.
Even if you thought she was close to death, you still would have had a chance.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like... that part kind of really gets me, because it's really, really upsetting, like, the simple fact that they would just do that.
Yeah. I mean, and that's not to say that that theory is concrete. Like, that is not to say that that is what happened, or that is, like...
I don't want to believe that that's what happened.
Yeah. That's the thing. But being as how that is the most popular theory, And I use the term theory lightly because I don't want it to seem like I'm just using this as a form of entertainment, because that's not what it is. It's not like, oh, like conspiracy theories, or oh, like this is a movie theory that I have. No, like this is a real case. It has real people in it. It's a real murder that happened.
Yeah.
It's a real family. But the way that the case is set up and the way that the evidence suggests, there's a lot that points to that.
Mm-hmm. And it's also very, very easy that they could have had friends. They were very popular. It was a popular family. They could have had friends in the police force that could have helped them set up, you know, the whole thing. And it's really, really sad to think about. And going back to, like, having her around so many people that felt that close to her, that they would do something like that, it's just makes me very angry that people aren't as careful as they should be, especially with their kids.
Yeah.
And it just breaks my heart, because I would never, ever, ever have my child around so many people that felt that way about my kid. And, like, even if you don't tell me, like, I'm going to be careful anyways.
Yeah.
But there should not be that many fucking people that are close to your kid like that, except you. You are the only person that can sit there and protect your kid like that. And the fact that you just didn't.
Yeah.
And the fact that you held in for so long after she had passed away, and you didn't want to get the word out. You didn't want to do any interviews. You get offended when somebody's asking you to prove that it wasn't you.
Yeah.
It's
when
just,
you haven't given any evidence to support that it wasn't.
Exactly. It's just like, I don't want it to be the parents, but there's so much evidence against it. There's just so much. And I can't even just blame the parents. Like, the police fucked up too. Like, the police fucked that shit up so bad that it genuinely, like, makes me so fucking angry. Like, why are you letting all of these people in this house? Why are you telling them to go and search the house?
Tampering with evidence.
I don't even get it, because even if you thought she wasn't in the house, even if you thought she was kidnapped, why have so many people there?
Yeah.
It just blows my mind. It's crazy. This case makes me so heated.
Yeah. And it's unsolved. And I'm not going to say that it'll never be solved, but the likelihood of that happening is just...
And also, Burke's interview, I don't remember, I think it was like 20 years after. So it's like...
2016.
That
sounds about right, honestly.
Yeah. His interview, the most unbothered person I've ever seen.
Yeah.
The most unbothered.
I mean...
Like, and I get it's been some time, but even as a kid, he was unbothered.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you're not helping your case, dude. Like... And it's sad that, like, people have to theorize to figure it out. It really is.
Yeah, it wouldn't be an issue if things didn't get so fucked up in the first place.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. I do kind of want to talk about some other cases as well. These episodes are extremely, like, interesting to put together. Mm-hmm. The research that we do for these is really interesting. The editing, the everything that goes into these episodes are really interesting. So if you have any other unsolved cases that you want to see us cover, let us know. I have quite a few. Thank you so much for watching. We really hope that you learned something from today's case. Definitely do your own research on it. I really suggest that you look into it more.
I implore you to.
Did you take my word?
Did you say implore?
Yeah. Well, I didn't say it right there, but I said implore like 3 times during the episode. So that's why I was like, I really suggest, because I was like, I feel like if I say implore again, people are going to be like, this fucking bitch. But yeah, so if you did enjoy, we do have our socials linked below. Check out our other videos. We have a link tree as well.
If you liked this episode, go look at the Jack the Ripper episode.
The Jack the Ripper and the Zodiac episode, yes. Anyways, we do upload every Wednesday, so look out for those videos as well. Podcasts, we have it on Spotify. If you have any suggestions as to what you want to see, let us know. We're always looking for new things, and yeah, we hope you enjoyed, and we'll catch you next week.